The city we know, love, the world's Mecca, is controlled by city council, not the mayor.
We're in the room with Vanessa Simon, a good friend of mine who ran for office years ago for city council. She didn't win. She's still working in the space as a political strategist. But here we're going to talk about the importance of New York City Council races. How do we get more people to care? Let's dive into New York City Council real quick, get everyone up to speed. 51 council members. They're elected for 4 years at a time. They can serve a maximum of 2 terms. A lot of these people are on their way out. Keith Powers has served his time. He's running for Manhattan Borough President. He's on his way out of the council. That's in Midtown Manhattan. Joe Borelli on Staten Island. He's a big figurehead Republican. Let's even tell people the split out of the 51 council members.
Absolutely. 45 Democrats, 6 Republicans. I mean, Joe Borelli's seat is up. He did step down early, but that frees up that extra 6 spot. So 45 Democrats, 6 Republicans is a split. We have 4-year terms and every 2 term limits, but every 20 years, the city goes through redistricting. And when that happens, it breaks up a 4-year term. That's why we've seen city council elections in 2021 when I ran, then in 23, and now in 25.
And when people are talking about getting a new mayor, do they realize even with a new mayor, the mayor's power is it's going to be limited by the council.
It always is limited. So for those people that are like, oh my gosh, this mayor sucks, what happens? But it's like, actually, it's the city council members that wield the most power. And if we're not paying attention to that race, they could suck. And then the city sucks more. And that's kind of what happened. So everyone puts that power on it.
Why, in your opinion, do more people not realize this?
A lot of people don't care about local races because the absence of civics education. Like I always share, millennials surpassed boomers in 2015 with population footprint. We are also the most academically decorated. The bachelor's degree is the new high school degree. Like everyone has one, great. And then everyone's pursuing obviously your master's, doctorate, or getting your JD, right? But no one's learning their civic duty and the importance of showing up and voting. That is what's missing. So when you're asking, how did we get here? How come no one cares? It's no longer a priority in schools. It used to be.
So is this a reform that needs to happen on the K through 12 level?
Yes, it needs a complete overhaul. That's why I support President Trump in redoing the entire Board of Ed or just abolishing it. Like, we're not preparing our students for real work. Think about STEM subjects, right? Or even when we're talking about vocational schools, like none of these things are priorities. We're still learning about Shakespeare. I can't even remember the last time I used y equals mx plus b. Like, come on.
I know. And it's funny that you say Shakespeare because when you read actual legislation, I call it ye old English. Like no one really understands what it means. It's very hard for the layperson to look up a piece of legislation and understand what it actually means, even if you have your law degree. But I want to go back to even what you just said, that you support President Trump in redoing the Department of Education. Yes, you can talk about that on the federal level, but that's not going to impact us here in New York City.
It's one of those things where we know so much, but we don't know about local politics and our impact. So to answer your question, local races go unnoticed, but they impact our quality of life and right outside our doorstep so much. But we never learned in school, like, hey, this is your civic duty. This is why it's important to pay attention to local races and things like that.
Besides for the need to revamp our education system from the top down and from the bottom up, let's really dive into, you ran for city council in 2021.
So let's dial it back to local, which I appreciate. One, city council races I bring up often because I ran in 2021. That's where we met, which is exciting. But I had set out on a quest to learn about local politics. I grew up in Long Island, but live in Queens now. And I'm like, what's happening? And when I found out how much power city council wields, and no one, even Manhattaners don't realize that city council, they not only control the budget for their specific district, they write the legislation. So if you're in a part of Manhattan, a part of Queens, Bronx, et cetera, Staten Island, Brooklyn, if you're in a certain part and your city council leader is controlling what's the law. It could be speed cameras. It could be the budget that's going to your school. What does your local park look like? That's all controlled by your city council member.
That district and any of these districts could be in charge of several $1 million.
Yes.
And the people that come out and vote, when you look at the numbers for a city council race, especially if there's a primary, a multi-way primary, someone could win by a couple hundred, even a couple of votes. And when you look at the total amount of people that come out to vote, it could be maybe 16,000 people would be considered a lot of people that would vote in a city council race.
Absolutely. So there's 51 districts spread throughout the 5 boroughs. A lot of people give all the credit to like the mayor, but it's actually the city council members that wield the most power. So depending on district size throughout the 5 boroughs, they're in charge of their allocated budgets. So say if you get, argument's sake, $50 million designated to your district.
Now, when you give $50 million as an example, is that a reasonable example? How much is one city council member, 1 out of 51 council members, how much is in their budget for their district?
I mean, it varies by district. Every 20 years, the district lines are redrawn. So there's different sizes. So it's not a one size fit all. And I don't want to be misquoted, but it could range anywhere from 10 million to I guess like 50 million.
Should we look that up actually?
Absolutely.
I think we should look up how much a city council let's
ranging
ask
in
ChatGPT.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
4 and 6 million. So what were you thinking for your district?
Well, we had gotten 3 million. Like, I remember that from way back when.
Okay. So
but like I said, it's different.
Up to $6 million.
Yes. But it could be more depending on district size. Your city council member decides where and how it's spent. So depending on district size throughout the 5 boroughs, they're in charge of their allocated budgets, right? Which we highlighted millions of dollars, writing the legislation anywhere from speed cameras, we're dealing with school zones, we're dealing with local parks, how the schools, the libraries, all that is controlled by the city council member. And that's a lot of power. And a lot of people don't realize that. When you think of your beloved Manhattan, it's the city council members in the districts within Manhattan that are when you feel the city's it's so insufferable. I can't deal, whether it's the bike lanes, whether it's the smells on the street, what's happening, the cleanliness. That's city council. That's not the mayor. So let's pause there.
I know. And I think people think, we need a new mayor. We need a new governor. The president, whatever you want to say. Yeah. But it's really these hyper local officials that are making a difference in your day-to-day life.
They control all of it. And when you talk about the power versus the mayor, they can totally veto the mayor. And he's null and void. City council has power over everything within their district. In my district, we didn't have an elevator at one of our main train stations. And it's why is that? For, pregnant women, carrying strollers, anything like that, elderly. It's all issues and problems that happen within the district. And that's why it's so important that everyone tunes in. I like to share with people, you don't have to be an elected official to take part. We have community boards. We've got the Board of Ed. You can join your local school district just to know what's going on, what kind of legislation is being passed that's affecting the local schools. You also have just getting involved with your town, your city council. I'm blank here.
What, community board?
No, it's not just the community boards. Excuse me. It's community boards. You participate on your Board of Ed, PTA meetings. You can join your local city council meetings, right? You just got to be able to go online. It's at your fingertips. Look up who your local city council member is and participate, right? Right now is when everyone is getting petitions to go on the ballot. So if you're home in your borough and you get a knock on your door, if you have a building, you have a doorman, they might have a different way. They might set up outside your building. But from now until April 4th, you have candidates that are trying to get on the ballot. All seats are up. All 51 seats are up for some re-election. Some races are going uncontested, which means no candidate at all is running against the person. We've got to tune in.
I think, people might think it's too difficult. I don't want to be part of a community board. I don't have time. I don't want to stand out on the street and ask people for their autograph on a petition. They don't want to participate. I think a lot of people feel turned off by what's going on and they just say, I'm out.
Not even. This is so critical. When I was campaigning, a lot of people, I don't do politics. I don't do politics. When you don't do politics, politics does you. And in the worst way. So you're forfeiting your right, your voice to partake in anything that's happening locally right outside your doorstep. And that matters a great deal. So it's so crucial for New York. We have to get our act together. We don't have the wiggle room anymore. Our city if we can't see that we're on the trajectory to end up like California, I don't know what to tell you. You need to get better eyeglasses because this is where we're headed if we don't start tuning in.